difficult to export or very expensive to export. It is obvious that a complete switch of Middle Eastern oil supplies without using the Strait of Hormuz is currently unrealistic. Changing logistics will not only take a long time, but will also require significant infrastructure expenditures, expansion of marine terminals, and so on. And of course, it will be associated with high political risks that have not gone away. Consumers need oil today. As a result, global oil prices are rising. We can see this very clearly. Just over the past week, they have increased by more than 30%. I checked this morning at 5:30 Moscow time. It had already broken through 119. It was above $119 per barrel. Then 107, 109, 106. Right now, I believe it is 103 at this moment in time. But fluctuations are continuing nonetheless, and the trend is not towards a decrease, but towards an increase. An analogous situation is developing on the global gas market as well. Supplies of liquefied natural gas from the Middle East have dropped sharply. The region has seen reduced production capacity, the restoration of which will take weeks, if not months. It is impossible to promptly compensate for the falling volumes. As a result, global gas prices are also rising at an even faster pace, it seems, than oil prices. What would I like to emphasize in this regard? Under current conditions, competition among buyers for energy suppliers, for ensuring stable and predictable supplies of oil and gas, is intensifying. In this regard, of course, I cannot help but say and remind not only the colleagues sitting here in this room, but also all of our consumers in general, that it was precisely with stability that Russian energy companies have always been distinguished. It is obvious that the global logistics of the fuel and energy sector, under the conditions of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, will change in favor of more advantageous, more promising markets. At the same time, it must be understood that the current high prices for commodities are certainly of a temporary nature. We understand this. It is an obvious thing, and we must proceed from this. That is why I asked you to gather and consult with you on what we must do to coordinate our efforts.
Now, the people that are suffering are the consumers because they're raising their prices. They're not losing any money unless people are buying less. So the consumers are paying the bill, the extra money, even though it's already too high anyway.
Important for Russian energy companies to use the current moment, including in order to direct additional export revenues toward reducing their debt burden, their debt to domestic banks. Dear colleagues, I would like to draw your special attention to this. I ask the government and the central bank to take this process under control. I will emphasize, Russia acts as a reliable supplier of energy resources. It has always been so. We will certainly continue to supply oil and gas to those countries that are themselves reliable counterparties. I have in mind not only our partners in the Asia-Pacific region, but also the states of Eastern Europe, such as Slovakia and Hungary. And right now, some colleagues, already before the meeting, in this broader format, have already informed me that we are increasing supplies to our reliable partners. Moreover, in several regions of the world at once. At the same time, I want to remind you that the European Union countries plan to introduce additional restrictions on the purchase of Russian hydrocarbons starting April 25th, including liquefied natural gas, up to and including a complete ban on such supplies in 2027. In this regard, the government was already tasked with assessing the possibility and advisability of halting supplies of our energy resources to the European market, not to wait until the door is demonstratively slammed in our face from the European market toward a more interesting direction, and most importantly, to establish a foothold there. Right now, the market conditions are shaping up in such a way that if we reorient ourselves right now toward those markets that need increased supplies, we can establish ourselves there now. That is, in places where there is sustainable long-term demand and reliable long-term relationships, to those states that are building constructive business relations with Russia. By the way, I asked you to come in order to consult with you on all these matters. If European companies, European buyers, should suddenly decide to reorient themselves and provide us with long-term, sustainable joint work, free from political considerations, freed from political considerations, please, we have never refused. We are ready to work with Europeans as well.
Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. Bahasham Chakwadash, my name is Yaakov from Plaintables Camp. It's Mark 13:7. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These things are the beginning of sorrows. So don't forget that. We still have a few more things to go through, more tribulation. But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in the synagogues ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them. All right, so we have more to go through. We have more trouble to go through. As it is written, famines, troubles, these are the beginning of sorrows, and we still got to be delivered up, arrested and persecuted before the war turns nuclear. And then you got the microchip, the implantable microchip. All these things have to come to pass before a third world war takes place. And when it becomes hot, all right, the third world war is taking place. It just hasn't become hot. You can say these are skirmishes.
And the United States is waging war against oil fields, oil infrastructure. The U.S. is hitting Iranian oil infrastructure, and the Iranians are hitting Saudi oil infrastructure. What that means is the price of oil will continue to rise. It's been rising. You've been seeing those prices go up at the pump. It's going to continue. And if that continues at a steep rate, it'll put a lot of pressure on the U.S. economy, a lot of pressure on Americans. And we have to be prepared for that. As a cost of energy.
And Europeans, all our prices, gas is going up. Psalms 91. So our trust is in Yahweh Shai. So Demcad has the kits, which again you can have your little stuff, but eventually you're gonna have to go out. You're gonna need fresh air. You're gonna need some. Well, if you got everything inside, then you just need to survive with the supplies you have. But you're gonna need fresh air. You're gonna need to evacuate waste. So, you got to evacuate waste unless you got big pits in the ground that you already got sealed off that are really deep in the ground. But then you got methane gas build up. You got to have outlets for that. And then you can still be tracked because you got to have an outlet for, that's outlets underwater, But nobody has that sophisticated system like that with a check valve and all that. So one-way exits and all. Yeah, food, and you're going to have to go out for fresh air and evacuate waste. So the scriptures talk about searching houses with the sword, and the Ezra, second Ezra. So we need Yahweh Shai. We need Yahweh Shai. It said, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of Yahweh, He is my refuge and my fortress. In Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the noise of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler." All right. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy right side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee.